Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into, well, a world that's just incredibly deep and dynamic. The universe of red wines.
It really is.
From, sun-baked vineyards in Australia or California to these ancient slopes in Europe, red wines offer just this amazing spectrum of flavors and stories. It's hard to even define simply.
It is, and it's a journey right back into human history.
Yeah.
I mean, what's really amazing is that viticulture itself, growing grapes for wine, goes back something like 8,000 years.
8,000. Wow.
Yeah, to the Caucasus region. But here's a little twist. Those first red wines, they were probably much closer to what we'd call a modern rosé today.
Really? How come?
Well, the early methods for soaking the skins, maceration, they just weren't sophisticated enough to get that really deep color extraction we kind of expect now.
Huh. So an ancient precursor to rosé, that's a bit of an aha moment right at the start.
Exactly. And from those, let's say, simpler beginnings, the Roman Empire was just massive in spreading grapevines across Europe.
Right, they took it everywhere.
Pretty much. And then later, in the Middle Ages, it was the monasteries. They became these unsung heroes.
How so?
They were meticulously refining how to grow the grapes, how to make the wine. A lot of the techniques they honed are still influential, especially in places like, say, Burgundy.
Okay, and then I gather there was a point where things really shifted, a kind of revolution.
Oh, absolutely. The 17th century. Two huge game changers. First, developing stronger, more durable glass bottles.
Right.
And second, crucially, the cork stopper.
Ah, the core.
Yeah. Together, these two things meant that for the first time, red wines could properly evolve and age in the bottle. The tannins could soften, those complex tertiary aromas could develop.
You mean like leather, tobacco, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Without bottles and corks, the whole idea of a great cellar-worthy red wine just wouldn't exist like we know it.
Okay, so let's really dive in then. Our mission today is to kind of decode the essence of global red wines. We want to trace the history, unravel what makes specific grapes unique, dig into the secrets of terroir.
Yeah, the winemaking itself.
Exactly. Demystify the techniques, look at how they pair with food, and maybe even peek at some future trends.
Sounds like a plan.
Consider this your shortcut, to not just being informed, but really getting what makes red wine so endlessly fascinating.
Let's do it.
So our journey has to start where all wine does, right? The grape itself. What are the fundamental things in the grape, right there in the vineyard, that give red wine all that complexity?
Well, the complexity definitely starts with the grape's unique genetic profile. It's like its DNA, its blueprint.
Okay.
And that profile basically dictates everything. The wine's potential style, its structure, its primary aromas, its ability to age well. It all starts there.
And when we think red wine, certain names just pop up immediately. Which ones are the real international stars, the grapes that have conquered vineyards everywhere?
Okay, top of the list, without a doubt, is Cabernet Sauvignon, often called the Queen.
Right.
It comes from Bordeaux originally, but it's just so adaptable. It's actually the most widely planted red grape in the world.
Wow.
And Cabernets are famous for that firm structure, those robust tannins.
Yeah.
Makes them great for aging.
And the flavors.
When it's young, especially from cooler spots, you get classic blackcurrant, cassis, and sometimes that slightly controversial green bell pepper note.
Ah, yes, the pyracines.
Exactly, the pyrazines. And maybe some cedar, some mint too. But here's the magic. With age, those flavors transform. You get complex notes like tobacco, cigar box, graphite, rich leather. Its thick skin is key for the deep color and those strong tannins. And it ripens late in the season.
Okay. And what about Cabernet's classic partner, Merlot? It always seems a bit maybe softer.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Merlot, while it's vital in Bordeaux blends, really is the star on Bordeaux's right bank. Generally, yeah, it gives wines that are softer, maybe more fruit-forward, with these lovely velvety tannins.
So more approachable young.
Often, yes. You expect aromas like ripe plum, black cherry, maybe some chocolate, earthy notes, sometimes a hint of bay leaf. It ripens earlier than Cabernet, and the skins are sort of medium thick.
Then there's Pinot Noir. I always hear it described as the winemaker's headache, but also the ultimate prize.
Yeah, the enologist's grape. It's notoriously difficult, fussy.
Yeah.
But, the results can be just sublime, unparalleled finesse.
And it's originally from?
Burgundy, in France. That's its homeland.
Yeah.
It has really thin, delicate skins, which is why Pinot Noir wines often look paler in the glass.
Okay.
The clusters are compact, kind of pine cone shape. That's where the name Pinot comes from. And it needs cool to temperate climates. It needs that swing between day and night temperatures, the diurnal range.
Why is that so important?
It helps preserve the grape's natural acidity, which is vital for Pinot, and lets those delicate aromas develop properly. The wines are usually light to medium-bodied, lovely bright acidity.
And the aromas change quite a bit too, right?
Radically. Young Pinot Noir bursts with fresh red fruits, cherry, raspberry, strawberry. But with age,
Wow.
it develops these complex earthy notes, mushrooms, damp earth, forest floor, dried leaves, even hints of leather or game, sometimes balsamic notes. It's fascinating.
Moving from elegance to maybe more power, Syrah, or Shiraz as they call it down under, seems like it can be quite different depending on where it's grown.
That's spot on. Syrah or Shiraz in Australia, originally from France's Rhone Valley. It's incredibly versatile.
How so?
Well, in the cooler northern Rhone, you get these elegant, savory, really peppery wines. Notes of black olive, maybe smoky, think Hermitage or Côte Rôtie.
Okay.
But then you take it to a warmer place, like Australia's Barossa Valley, and it becomes this opulent, fruit-forward beast, just loaded with blackberry, chocolate, licorice, and often that distinctive eucalyptus or mint note.
Big difference.
Huge. It has small, dark, thick-skinned berries, which definitely contributes to the intensity, especially in warmer climates.
And Grenache, the sun lover?
Grenache, or Garnacha in Spain, yes, it absolutely loves warmth and sun. Thrives in places like the Southern Rhone or Priorat in Spain.
And that sunshine means?
Often higher potential alcohol. Its aromas are all about ripe red fruits, raspberry, cherry, strawberry jam, sometimes, plus hints of white pepper, cinnamon, maybe some garrigue, those Mediterranean earths.
In the feel of the wine?
Typically full-bodied, but with surprisingly soft tannins and moderate acidity. The key with Grenache, though, is yield control. You have to keep the production down to get concentration.
So beyond these huge international names, there's this whole other fascinating world of regional grapes, autochthonous varieties, the ones really tied to a specific place.
Oh, absolutely. A massive world. Let's dive into a few. In Spain, Tempranillo is king.
Right, Rioja.
Rioja, yes, but also Ribera del Duero. The name means early because it ripens relatively early. It's incredibly versatile. In Rioja, it's famous for that traditional American oak aging, gives you vanilla, coconut, dill, tobacco notes.
And the Crianza Reserva classification.
Exactly, those tell you about the aging. But in Ribera del Duero, Tempranillo often shows a more intense, darker fruit profile, more spice, maybe more minerality, different expression.
Italy, of course, has its icons, too. Sangiovese comes to mind.
Sangiovese is the absolute soul of Tuscany. It's the heart of Chianti, Chianti Classico, Brunello di Montalcino.
What defines it?
High acidity, firm tannins. It gives aromas of sour cherry, plum, sometimes a savory sun-dried tomato note, and those lovely Mediterranean herbs again.
And wasn't there that whole super Tuscan thing?
Ah, yes. A really important moment. Back in the 70s, some Tuscan winemakers basically rebelled against the strict rules. They started blending Sangiovese with international grapes like Cabernet or Merlot, often aging in small French oak barrels, barrique.
Which wasn't allowed.
Not under the traditional DOC rules, no. But they created these incredible high-quality wines outside the system. It really shook things up and pushed quality forward.
Interesting. Okay, switching continents. Malbec. It feels like it basically belongs to Argentina now.
It really found its global stage there, didn't it? Originally from Bordeaux, but it hit superstardom in Mendoza, Argentina.
What's the typical Argentinian Malbec like?
Intense, deep purple color, wonderfully soft, velvety tannins, that's a real signature, and aromas of ripe plum, blackberry, violet, often with hints of chocolate and smoke.
And I hear altitude is key there.
Absolutely critical. The high-altitude vineyards in places like the Uco Valley are crucial. That big temperature swing between hot days and cold nights. The diurnal range, again, preserves the grape's natural acidity and develops aromatic complexity. It stops the wines becoming too heavy or jammy, gives them freshness despite the intense sun.
Back to Italy, but up north this time. Piedmont, Nebbiolo.
Ah, Nebbiolo. The noble grape, the one behind the legendary Barolo and Barbaresco.
Known for being pretty intense.
Intense is an understatement. It's defined by high acidity and really powerful tannins. It absolutely needs long aging, years, sometimes decades, for those tannins to soften and for the wine to reveal its incredible complexity.
And the aromas, they sound unique.
They are. Classically described as tar and roses, dried roses, cherry, licorice, truffle, earthy notes. It just evolves and evolves. It's also a late ripener, needs that long growing season.
Okay, Chile. The Carmenere story is pretty amazing, isn't it? The lost grape.
It's a fantastic story. Carmenere was a Bordeaux variety, thought to be wiped out by phylloxera in the 19th century. But then, in 1994, surprise, it was rediscovered in Chile, where for over a century, everyone had just assumed it was Merlot.
Wow, so they've been growing it all along without knowing.
Exactly. When it's not fully ripe, it can have quite a pronounced green bell pepper note. But when it ripens perfectly in Chile's climate, it gives lovely dark fruit, spice, coffee, and chocolate notes. It's become Chile's signature grape.
And Portugal, famous for port, obviously, but they do amazing dry reds, too.
Oh, fantastic diversity. Touriga Nacional is often called the crown jewel of Portuguese reds.
Why is that?
Intense color, firm tannins, really complex aromas, black fruits, floral notes like violet, often a distinct rock rose or resinous hint, spices. It's also a key component in many port wines.
Okay. And I've heard of Baga.
Baga, yes, from the Baroda region. It's a bit of a challenging grape, known for its really high acidity and quite rustic tannins when young. Needs time, but it ages beautifully, developing notes of red fruits, wild berries, and earthy complexity. Definitely rewards patience.
And one more, maybe less known, Uruguay.
Uruguay's champion is Tannin, another grape originally from southwest France, actually.
And in Uruguay.
It produces incredibly full-bodied wines, very firm tannins, high acidity, intense dark fruit flavors like blackcurrant and plum, licorice, spice. It's got serious structure and, again, remarkable aging potential. It really softens and integrates beautifully over time.
It's just incredible how much variety there is just in the grapes. But
Yeah.
then the place where they grow the terroir starts shaping them even before the winemaker steps in, right?
Oh, profoundly. Terroir is maybe the most magical and sometimes controversial concept in wine. It's that unique fingerprint of a place.
So what actually makes up terroir?
It's this combination, this interaction of climate, soil, the actual topography, the lay of the land, and often, human tradition woven in. It's what gives a wine its specific identity, something that can't quite be replicated anywhere else.
Okay, let's break that down. Climate first. How does that specifically leave its mark?
Climate is huge. Warm climates, think Napa Valley, Barossa in Australia, generally mean grapes get riper, accumulate more sugar. So you tend to get higher alcohol wines, softer tannins, and more pronounced ripe fruit flavors like jammy blackberry or baked plum.
Right.
Temperate climates like Bordeaux or Burgundy offer a longer, slower ripening season. This usually results in wines with more vibrant acidity, more elegant tannins, and perhaps more nuanced aromas, fresh red fruits, floral notes, earthy hints.
And cool climates.
Cool climates are trickier for robust reds, but they can produce lighter-bodied wines with very high acidity, like some Pinot Noirs. But here's a really key climate concept, that diurnal range.
You mentioned that before, the day-night temperature swing.
Exactly. Even in really hot regions, like Mendoza for Malbec, if you have cool nights, it's like hitting the brakes on ripening overnight. It preserves the grape's natural acidity and helps develop complex aromas. It's absolutely vital for balance, stops the wines just tasting hot and flat.
Fascinating. Okay, what about the ground itself? The soil. Does it really matter if it's clay versus gravel?
Oh, massively. Soil composition has a direct impact. Clay soils, for instance, hold water well. This can lead to richer, more powerful wines with firmer tannins. Think Merlot on Bordeaux's right bank, or some Sangiovese in Chianti.
And limestone, I hear that mentioned a lot for quality.
Limestone is prized for its excellent drainage and its high calcium content. It often contributes to wines with great minerality and vibrant acidity. Burgundies, Pinot Noirs, and Chardonnays are famously grown on limestone, as is Tempranillo in parts of Rioja.
What about gravel, like in Bordeaux's left bank?
Gravel and pebbles offer fantastic drainage, which forces the vines to dig deep for water. Plus, they absorb heat during the day and radiate it back at night, which really helps grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon reach full ripeness, especially in slightly cooler vintages.
And other types. Schist. Volcanic.
Schist and slate, like you find in Priorat or the Mosel, are also great at retaining heat and often give a very distinct stony minerality to the wines. Volcanic soils, while less common, are rich in minerals and can lead to wines with smoky notes and really lively acidity, like on Mount Etna in Sicily.
Okay, so climate, soil. What about the actual shade of the land, the topography?
Topography is the third piece of the terroir puzzle. Altitude is a big one. Higher vineyards generally mean cooler temperatures overall, and crucially, a bigger diurnal range. This leads to wines with more freshness, often more intense color, and greater complexity.
Like the Malbecs in Argentina.
Precisely. Then there's the slope, or aspect. Vineyards on slopes generally have better drainage, and the direction they face the aspect determines how much sun they get. South-facing slopes in the northern hemisphere get the most sun, helping ripen grapes fully, developing color and tannins.
So steeper is often better.
It can be. for sun exposure and drainage. Good air circulation on slopes also helps prevent fungal diseases like mildew. So yeah, the elevation, the steepness, the direction it faces, it all creates these little microclimates that fine-tune how the grapes grow.
Right, so the environment lays the foundation. But then the winemaker has to actively manage the vines in the vineyard, right, to get the best possible fruit.
Absolutely. Vineyard management is where the human element really comes in, translating that potential of the terroir into actual grape quality. It's all about guiding the vine to produce fruit that matches the desired wine style.
What kind of things are they doing out there?
A lot. It starts with training and pruning systems. And you shape the vine. Well, you have systems like Gugo, common in places like Burgundy, where you leave 1 or 2 long canes each year, good for controlling yield and getting good sun exposure. Or cordon systems, where you have a permanent woody arm with short spurs, often used in warmer regions, sometimes easier for mechanization.
And I've seen pictures of vines looking like little bushes.
Ah, that's probably goblet or bush vines. An ancient system, often used in hot, dry places like the southern Rhone or parts of Spain. The vine grows like a small bush, and the leaves create a kind of umbrella, shading the grapes. It tends to give low yield, very concentrated fruit. Each system affects how much fruit the vine produces, how much sun the grapes get, how much air flows through.
It sounds like a big part of it is stopping the vine from producing too much fruit. Why is yield control so vital?
Yield control is absolutely fundamental for quality, especially in red wines. If a vine tries to ripen too many grapes, it just doesn't have enough resources, sugars, flavor compounds, color, tannins to go around. The resulting wine can taste dilute, weak, lacking concentration.
So how do they limit the yield?
Several ways. Pruning in winter is the first step, deciding how many buds to leave. Then, during the growing season, they might do green pruning or canopy management, removing excess shoots, positioning leaves for optimal sun or shade, and crucially, cluster thinning or a green harvest.
What's that?
That's literally going through the vineyard, usually around veraison when the grapes start changing color, and cutting off excess branches.
Sounds painful.
It can feel like it, but it ensures the vine focuses all its energy on ripening the remaining grapes perfectly. More concentration, more flavor, better tannins, better wine.
And then comes the moment of truth, the harvest. Seems like the culmination of everything.
It absolutely is one of the most critical decisions of the year.
Okay.
And the first choice is how to harvest, by hand or by machine.
What are the pros and cons?
Manual harvesting allows for selection right there in the vineyard. You only pick the healthy, ripe bunches. It's much gentler on the grapes, crucial for delicate varieties like Pinot Noir, or if you want to do whole cluster fermentation. Essential for top-quality wines or on steep slopes where machines can't go.
But slower, more expensive.
Exactly. Mechanical harvesting is much faster and cheaper, so it's efficient for large vineyards producing wine in volume. But it's less selective, can pick up leaves or unripe bunches, and can sometimes damage the grapes, potentially leading to early oxidation.
But maybe the biggest decision is when to pick.
The absolute biggest, finding that perfect, ideal maturation point. It's a balancing act. You need technological maturity, the right balance of sugar for alcohol and acidity for freshness, but you also need phenolic maturity.
Meaning
The ripeness of the tannins in the skins and seeds and the color compounds. Unripe tannins taste green and harsh. You want them ripe and smooth. It involves constantly tasting the berries in the vineyard, feeling the tannins, checking the seed color, alongside doing precise lab analysis for sugar and acid levels. Getting it right is crucial for the final wine's balance and style.
Okay, so the grapes, nurtured by terroir and managed meticulously, are finally picked at their peak. They arrive at the winery. Now the transformation really begins. Let's walk through those key steps inside the winery.
Right. This is where the raw potential gets shaped into the final wine. And every step involves choices by the winemaker.
So grapes arrive. What's first?
First up is often another round of selection, maybe on a sorting table, getting rid of any leaves, damaged berries, anything you don't want. Then, for most red wines, comes destemming.
Removing the stems. Why?
Because stems contain tannins, and often they're quite green and bitter. Removing them usually leads to a smoother wine. However...
there's always a however.
Yes. For certain styles, maybe some Pinot Noir or Syrah, winemakers might choose to include a percentage of whole clusters, stems and all, in the fermentation.
Why would they do that?
It can add different kinds of tannins, structure, complex, spicy or herbal notes, and sometimes a feeling of freshness. It's a stylistic choice. After destemming, usually comes crushing.
Breaking the skins?
Gently, yes.
Yeah.
Just enough to break the skins and release the juice, the must. You want to avoid crushing the seeds inside because they contain bitter oils and harsh tannins.
You mentioned carbonic maceration earlier. That's different, right? No crushing.
Exactly. Carbonic maceration is a special technique, famous in Beaujolais. You put whole, uncrushed bunches of grapes into a tank filled with carbon dioxide. Fermentation starts inside the intact berries.
What does that do?
It produces wines that are incredibly fresh, very fruity, think banana, bubblegum, cherry, with really soft tannins, designed for early drinking.
Okay, so for normal red wine, after crushing, we get to maceration and fermentation. They seem linked.
Very much so. Maceration is simply the contact time between the grape juice, the solid parts, the skins and seeds. This is where the wine gets its color, from anthocyanins in the skins, its tannins from skins and seeds, and lots of flavor and aroma compounds.
And the length of time matters.
Hugely. A light red might only macerate for a few days. A big structured red destined for aging could macerate for several weeks. Temperature also key. Warmer temps extract more, faster, but you have to be careful not to extract harsh stuff or lose aromas.
Are there specific maceration tricks winemakers use?
Definitely. A popular one is cold soak, or pre-fermentation maceration. You chill the crushed grapes and let them soak for a few days before fermentation starts.
Why?
It tends to extract color and delicate fruit aromas gently without pulling out too much harsh tannin early on. Good for aromatic varieties. Then there's extended maceration, which happens after alcoholic fermentation is finished.
So leaving the wine on the skins even longer.
Exactly. Maybe for another week or two or even longer. This allows the tannins to polymerize, basically, link up into longer chains, which makes them feel softer, less aggressive. It also helps stabilize color and adds complexity, often used for high-quality wines built to age.
Okay, then the actual alcoholic fermentation kicks in. Sugar turns to alcohol.
Right. This is the work of yeasts. They consume the sugar in the must and produce alcohol and carbon dioxide, plus heat and other compounds that contribute to flavor.
Do winemakers just let any yeast do the job?
They have a choice. They can rely on indigenous yeasts, the ones naturally present on the grape skins and in the winery environment. This can give wines more unique character, a sense of place, but it can also be less predictable. Or they can use selected yeasts, specific strains cultured in a lab, chosen for reliability, specific flavor profiles, or tolerance to alcohol or temperature. Gives more control. Again, temperature control during fermentation is critical, usually between 25–32 degrees C for reds, to manage extraction and keep the yeast happy without boiling off delicate aromas.
I've seen videos of people punching down tanks of red wine or pumping liquid over the top. What's that all about?
That's cap management. During red wine fermentation, the solid skins and seeds get pushed to the surface by the CO2 gas, forming a thick layer called the cap.
And you need to mix it back in.
Exactly. All the color and tannin are in that cap, so you need to keep it submerged and mixed with the liquid to extract those compounds effectively. Pidgeage, or punching down, is traditionally done with poles, often manually. It's quite gentle, good for delicate grapes like Pinot Noir.
And pumping over.
That's remontage. You pump the fermenting juice from the bottom of the tank up and spray it over the cap. It's generally a more extractive method, breaks up the cap more vigorously. Then there's delistage, or rack and return.
Sounds dramatic.
It involves draining all the liquid off the solids into another tank, letting the cap settle and compress under its own weight, and then pumping the liquid back over the solids. It's quite extractive, but also introduces oxygen, which can help soften tannins early on. Different tools for different goals.
After the main fermentation, there's often another one, malolactic.
Yes, malolactic fermentation, or FML. It's actually not done by yeast, but by bacteria. These bacteria convert the sharp aptly malic acid in the wine into softer, creamier lactic acid, the main acid found in milk.
Why is that important for reds?
Several reasons. It reduces the wine's overall acidity, making it feel rounder and smoother texturally. It can sometimes add complexity, like buttery or nutty notes from a compound called diacetyl. And, very importantly, it makes the wine microbiologically stable, preventing unwanted fermentations happening later in the bottle. Nearly all red wines go through FML.
Okay, fermentation's done. Then comes pressing, right? Separating the liquid from the solids.
Exactly. First, you drain off the vino flor, or free-run wine.
Yeah.
That's the juice that comes out just by gravity without pressing. It's generally considered the highest quality, most elegant part, with finer tannins.
And then you press the mast.
Then you take the remaining mass of skins and seeds and press it, usually mechanically, to extract the remaining wine. This is the vino di prensa, or pressed wine.
Is it different?
Yes. It's typically much darker, more tannic, more concentrated, sometimes a bit more rustic or coarse.
That's fair.
The winemaker has a crucial decision. Blend some or all of the pressed wine back into the free run to add structure or color. Keep it separate. Discard it. It totally depends on the wine style they're aiming for.
So much decision making. After all that, many reds then go into aging. What's the big picture goal of aging, and what does oak do?
Aging is really about evolution and integration. The goal is to allow the wine to develop complexity, soften its tannins, and let all the components meld together harmoniously. Oak barrels play a huge role in this for many red wines.
How? What does the wood actually add?
Several things. Oak imparts its own flavors and aromas. Think vanilla, clove, spice, coconut, toast, smoke, coffee, chocolate, depending on the type of oak and how it's treated. It also adds wood tannins, which can contribute to the wine's structure and aging potential. And maybe most importantly, oak allows for microoxygenation.
Tiny amounts of oxygen getting in.
Exactly. Wood is slightly porous, so it allows very slow, controlled exposure to oxygen. This helps the tannins polymerize link together, making them feel softer and rounder. It also helps stabilize the wine's color.
Does it matter what kind of oak it is? French versus American?
Oh, absolutely. French oak, often from forests like Allier, Nevers, or Vosges, tends to have a tighter grain and imparts more subtle spice notes, cedar, and elegant tannins. American oak, typically Quercus alba, has a wider grain and is known for more pronounced vanilla, coconut, and sometimes dill aromas. There's also Eastern European oak, like Hungarian or Slovenian, which can be somewhere in between or more neutral.
And they toast the inside of the barrels, right?
Yes, the level of toast, light, medium plus, heavy, dramatically affects the flavors imparted. Lighter toast gives more subtle wood notes, maybe some spice. Heavier toast brings out more smoke, char, coffee, and caramel notes.
Does the size of the barrel matter? Or if it's new?
Definitely. A standard new barrique, 225 liters, will have a much stronger impact than a large old Fado, thousands of liters, because the ratio of wood surface area to wine volume is much higher. New oak gives the most flavor. Used barrels impart less flavor, but still allow that crucial microoxygenation. A winemaker might use a mix of new and used barrels of different sizes to get the exact balance they want.
Is oak the only option for aging?
Not at all. Many winemakers choose other vessels to mature their reds. Stainless steel tanks are completely inert, so they preserve the wine's pure fruit character and freshness. No oxygen gets in.
Okay.
Concrete tanks or eggs are increasingly popular. Concrete is porous, like oak, so it allows some microoxygenation, helping soften tannins, but it's neutral in terms of flavor. It also has great thermal inertia, keeping the temperature stable.
And I've heard about clay and amphora making a comeback.
Yes, amphorae are an ancient history meeting modern winemaking. Clay is also porous, allowing oxygen exchange, but like concrete, it doesn't add flavor. Many believe it gives a unique textural quality and really preserves the purity of the fruit. It's all about choosing the right vessel for the style of wine you want to create. Maturation time varies hugely. 2 months for simple reds, years for complex ones.
Yeah.
It's always a balance between developing complexity and retaining freshness.
Before it finally gets into the bottle, there are often these steps about clarification, filtration. Why are those done?
Primarily for clarity and stability. Wine after fermentation and aging can be hazy with tiny particles, bits of yeast, proteins, tannins. Clarification or fining involves adding an agent that binds to these particles and makes them clump together and fall to the bottom so you can rack the clear wine off.
What kind of agents?
Traditionally, things like egg whites or gelatin. Nowadays, bentonite clay is common, and there are vegan options like pea protein too. Filtration is passing the wine through a filter medium, like pads or membranes, to physically remove particles.
Does filtering affect the wine?
It can. A very light filtration might just remove large solids and not impact flavor much. But a very tight or sterile filtration, designed to remove all yeast and bacteria, can potentially strip some flavor and texture compounds. That's why many high-end producers choose to fine minimally or filter very lightly, or sometimes not at all, preferring to retain maximum character even if the wine isn't perfectly bright.
And then finally, bottling. Seems simple, but the closure choice seems like a big deal now. Corks, screw caps.
Bottling is the final crucial step. It has to be done very carefully to avoid exposing the wine to too much oxygen, which could spoil it. And yes, the closure choice is hugely important and debated.
So natural cork.
Natural cork is the tradition. It allows that tiny bit of oxygen ingress over time, which many believe is beneficial for the slow evolution of fine wines meant for aging. The big downside, though, is the risk of TCA cork taint.
Ah, that nasty, wet cardboard smell.
Exactly. That moldy, musty aroma that ruins the wine. Screw caps completely eliminate the risk of TCA and provide a near-perfect seal, preserving freshness and fruitiness. Great for wines meant to be drunk relatively young, but increasingly used for serious wines too.
Any other options?
Sure, glass stoppers are elegant and provide a good seal. And there are various technical corks made from cork granules or synthetic materials designed to offer the benefits of cork, like some oxygen transfer, but with much lower or no risk of TCA and better consistency. Each closure has its pros and cons, influencing how the wine develops after bottling.
Wow. That is an incredible journey from grape to bottle. The number of decisions is just mind-blowing.
It really shows how much artistry and science go into it.
Okay, now that we understand the how, let's go on a bit of a sensory tour. Let's talk about the different styles from key regions around the world. Where should we start?
Well, you almost have to start with France, right? It's such a benchmark. Bordeaux, obviously, is famous for its blends, mainly Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot.
And there's that left bank, right bank split.
Exactly. The left bank, Médoc and Graves, typically gravel soils, is Cabernet Sauvignon dominant. Wines are often more structured, powerful, built for aging. Think Pauillac, Margaux, cassis, cedar, tobacco with age.
Okay.
The right bank, Pomerol and Saint-Emilion, more clay and limestone soils, is Merlot dominant, often blended with Cabernet Franc. Wines tend to be softer, fleshier, more opulent, maybe approachable, a bit younger. Plum, cherry, chocolate notes.
And then Burgundy, totally different vibe.
Completely different. Burgundy is the homeland, the temple of Pinot Noir for reds. It's all about elegance, finesse, terroir expression.
What do you mean by terroir expression there?
Burgundy has this incredibly intricate system of vineyard classification, the clinets. Tiny plots of land, sometimes just a few rows of vines apart, are believed to produce distinct wines due to subtle differences in soil, slope, aspect. The wines are about transparency, showing those nuances. Expect vibrant acidity, red fruit notes like cherry and raspberry, evolving to earthy mushroom and forest floor with age.
Heading south, the Rhone Valley, that feels warmer, bolder.
Generally, yes. The Rhone also has a split. The northern Rhone is all about Syrah. Steep slopes, granite soils. Wines are structured, savory, peppery, smoky. Think Hermitage, Côte Rôtie, black olive, bacon fat notes sometimes.
And the south.
The southern Rhone is warmer, flatter, more diverse grapes. Grenache is king here, usually blended with Syrah, Mourvèdre, Cinsault, and others. The classic GSM blend is common. Wines like Châteauneuf du Pape are richer, fruitier, spicier, often with notes of baked strawberry, licorice, and those Provençal herbs, garrigue. Higher alcohol often too.
Okay, let's hop over to Italy. So much diversity there. Where do we focus?
Tuscany is essential. Sangiovese country. Chianti Classico, Brunello di Montalcino, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, all based on Sangiovese. Expect that bright acidity, firm tannins, flavors of sour cherry, plum, leather, maybe tomato leaf or dried herbs.
And Piedmont up north, we mentioned Nebbiolo.
Piedmont is home to Nebbiolo's greatest expressions. Barolo and Barbaresco. Powerful, structured wines needing age. Tar, roses, cherry, licorice, truffle. Truly complex and profound. Piedmont also does great Barbera, juicy, high acid, and Dolcetto, softer, fruity.
What about Veneto, famous for Amarone?
Exactly. Veneto's Valpolicella region produces a range from simple, light Valpolicella to the mighty Amarone della Valpolicella. Amarone is made using the appassimento method, drying the grapes before fermentation.
What does that do?
It concentrates everything: sugars, flavors, tannins, results in a very rich, powerful, high-alcohol wine, often with notes of dried fig, raisin, chocolate, sweet spice. And then there's Ripasso, where regular Valpolicella is re-fermented on the lees, stand skins, of Amarone, giving it extra body, richness, and complexity.
Spain next. We talked Tempranillo, but what's the regional picture?
Tempranillo is dominant in Rioja and Ribera del Duero, but they express it differently. Rioja, especially with its traditional oak aging classifications. Crianza, Reserva, Gran Reserva, often gives more red fruit, leather, vanilla, spice. Ribera del Duero tends to be bolder, darker fruit, more powerful structure, often more modern oak use.
Anywhere else in Spain grabbing attention?
Oh yeah. Quairet in Catalonia is stunning. Old vine Garnacha and Cariñena on incredibly steep slate slopes, Lucarella, produces intense, powerful, mineral-driven wines. Bierzo in the northwest is exciting for Mencia, elegant, aromatic, almost floral reds. And regions like Jumilla or Yecla in the southeast are great for Monstrel, Mourvèdre, making rich, dark, sometimes rustic reds.
Portugal. Beyond port, what are the key table wines?
Portugal has incredible native grape diversity. The Douro Valley, famous for port, also makes stunning complex dry reds, often field blends of grapes like Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, Tinto Oriz, Tempranillo. Rich black fruits, floral notes, spice, often with schist minerality.
That embaga.
Baga in Barada is unique. High acid, high tannin, needs time, but can evolve into something beautifully complex, earthy, reminiscent of Nebbiolo or Pinot Noir sometimes. Dao and Alentejo are other key regions making quality reds, often from blends of indigenous varieties. And of course, port itself ruby, young, fruity, tawny, nutty, oxidized from cask aging. And the magnificent vintage port, intense, structured, built for decades of aging.
Okay, let's talk about the New World. So what really excites you about these regions? What surprising characteristics do they bring?
Well, the New World often took classic European grapes and gave them a new, sometimes bolder, often fruit-forward identity. And they've really pushed innovation. Look at the United States, especially California. Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon became iconic.
What's the Napa style?
Typically very ripe, rich, full-bodied. Lots of blackcurrant, black cherry, often with notes of chocolate, maybe mint or eucalyptus. Usually framed by significant, often new, oak-influence vanilla toast. Sonoma Coast, cooler, is brilliant for elegant, complex Pinot Noir, and California has Zinfandel can be anything from lighter rosé to intense, jammy, high-alcohol reds bursting with blackberry and pepper.
Chile. We mentioned Carmenere. What else?
Chile excels with Cabernet Sauvignon too, often showing a lovely purity of fruit, maybe that signature minty edge. Merlot is widely planted, and they're making increasingly serious Syrah and really promising Pinot Noir in cooler coastal areas like Lleida or Casablanca. Their consistency and value are often remarkable.
Argentina Malbec.
Pretty much. Mendoza Malbec is the flagship. That intense color, plush, velvety texture, ripe plum and violet notes. It's a crowd pleaser. But the real excitement now is exploring the subregions, especially the high-altitude vineyards in the Uco Valley. Those wines have amazing freshness, more floral and mineral notes alongside the fruit. Argentina also does good Cabernet Sauvignon, Bonarda, and some interesting Torrontés, which is white, but worth mentioning.
Yeah, Australia. Shiraz.
Huh. Well, Shiraz is definitely king, especially from places like Barossa Valley, that big, bold, ripe style with blackberry, black pepper, chocolate, maybe licorice or eucalyptus. But Australia is hugely diverse. Cooler regions like Yarra Valley or Mornington Peninsula make elegant Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Coonawarra is famed for its Cabernet Sauvignon grown on unique terra rossa soil over limestone, gives lovely structure and mint eucalyptus notes. Margaret River in Western Australia also does outstanding Cabernet and Chardonnay.
What about South Africa?
South Africa has a fascinating history. Their unique crossing, pinotage, Pinot Noir Exensalt, can be controversial sometimes, showing smoky, banana, or even rubbery notes. But when done well, it offers rich, dark fruit and savory complexity. They also make excellent structured Cabernet Sauvignon and Syrah Shiraz, particularly in Stellenbosch and Swartland. Chenin Blanc, white, is also a major star there.
Any other spots really emerging or doing surprising things with reds?
Oh, definitely. Germany, believe it or not, is now a major producer of high-quality Pinot Noir, which they call Spätburgunder, often very elegant, earthy styles. The UK, thanks to climate change, is starting to make some promising Pinot Noir too, mainly for sparkling, but some still wines.
Interesting.
Brazil has potential, especially with Merlot and Tannin in the south. Uruguay, as we mentioned, has Tannin as its icon. Really powerful stuff. And Greece is fascinating, rediscovering its amazing ancient native grapes like Xinomavro from Nousa, structured, complex, often compared to Nebbiolo, and Aggiorgitico from Nemea, softer, plummier, more like Merlot. The world of red wine is constantly expanding and evolving.
It really is. Okay, so we have this amazing bottle in front of us. How do we actually experience it? Let's talk sensory analysis. What does the color really tell us?
The color is your first clue. It speaks volumes about the wine's age, condition, and sometimes even the grape. A young red will usually be vibrant, maybe ruby with purplish tints, violaceous.
Okay.
As it ages, that purple fades. It becomes a solid ruby, then develops orange or tawny hints at the rim, moving towards garnet. A very old wine might look quite pale, even brick red or brownish, especially at the edge.
And the intensity.
Intensity tells you about concentration. A pale Pinot Noir versus an almost opaque Syrah or Malbec suggests differences in grape variety, skin thickness, extraction during winemaking, and don't forget the legs or tears, the streaks running down the glass after swirling. Thicker, slower legs can indicate higher alcohol or sugar content, though it's not a perfect science.
Right, so after looking, we smell. The aromas seem key to unlocking complexity. How do we make sense of all those smells?
The nose is where the wine really starts telling its story. We usually break aromas down into 3 categories to understand where they come from: primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Primary is from
The grape itself and the vineyard environment, the terroir. This is your fruit character. Red fruits, cherry, raspberry, cranberry, often in lighter reds like Pinot Noir. Black fruits, blackberry, blackcurrant, plum, common in grapes like Cabernet, Merlot, Syrah. Primary also includes floral notes, violet, rose, herbaceous notes, mint, eucalyptus, that green bell pepper, and earthy or mineral scents, damp earth, graphite, whetstone.
Okay, so secondary aromas come from.
The wine-making process, especially fermentation, think of notes related to yeast, like bread or brioche, especially if the wine spent time on its yeast cells. Buttery or creamy notes often come from malolactic fermentation, and those very specific banana or bubblegum aromas point strongly towards carbonic maceration.
Got it. Which leaves tertiary aromas, the ones from aging.
Exactly. These develop over time, either in barrel or in the bottle. This is where you get the complexity of aged wines. Oak aging contributes spices, vanilla, clove, cinnamon, nutmeg, plus notes of toast, smoke, coffee, chocolate, coconut, cedar. Bottle aging develops different notes: leather, tobacco, forest floor, mushrooms, game, tar, dried fruits, figs, prunes. These tertiary notes signal maturity and evolution. So much going on in the nose. Then we finally taste it. What are we looking for in the palate? In the mouth. In the mouth, we're assessing the wine's structure and balance. Key components are acidity. Does it make your mouth water? Feel fresh and lively. Acidity is the backbone. Tannins, do they feel drying or astringent on your gums? Are they fine-grained and smooth or coarse and grippy? Tannins provide structure.
Okay.
Alcohol, does it feel warm, maybe even hot? Or is it well integrated? Alcohol contributes to the body. How does the wine feel weight-wise? Light, medium, or full and heavy? Think skim milk versus whole milk versus cream.
Good analogy.
And finally, persistence or finish. How long do the positive flavors linger after you swallow? A long finish is usually a sign of quality. The ultimate goal is balance. All these elements should be in harmony, no single component sticking out awkwardly.
Right. Balance is key. Now, for the really fun bit, pairing red wine with food. Are there some basic rules or guidelines to help find a great match?
Food pairing is where wine truly shines, I think. Some basic principles really help. First, match the weight and intensity. Light-bodied red with lighter food, full-bodied red with richer, heavier food.
Makes sense.
Second, use tannins strategically. Tannins love protein and fat. A tannic Cabernet Sauvignon with a fatty steak, the protein softens the tannins, and the wine cleanses the palate. It's a classic synergy.
And acidity.
Acidity in wine cuts through richness and fat, cleanses the palate too. It also complements dishes that have their own acidity, like tomato-based sauces. Think Sangiovese with pasta bolognese.
Okay, can you give us some quick pairing ideas for different styles?
Sure. For light, fruity reds, maybe a Beaujolais or a simple Valpolicella, even some Pinot Noirs, think lighter dishes. Roast chicken, pork tenderloin, grilled salmon, mushroom risotto, pizza margherita.
Medium-bodied reds, like Merlot, maybe Chianti.
Yeah, these are versatile. Good with duck breast, burgers, lasagna, cured meats, pasta with meat sauce, maybe even heartier vegetarian dishes like lentil stew.
And the big guys, Cabernet, Barolo, Syrah.
You need robust food here. Grilled or roasted red meat, steak, lamb chops, prime rib, game like venison or boar, rich stews like beef bourguignon, hard aged cheeses like cheddar or parmesan. The food needs to stand up to the wine's intensity and tannins.
What about fortified reds like port?
Sweet fortified reds like Ruby or LBV port are classic with chocolate desserts, especially dark chocolate. Also brilliant with strong blue cheeses like Stilton or Roquefort. That sweet and salty contrast is amazing. Tawny port, with its nutty notes, is great with caramel desserts, nuts, or even creme brulee.
Great tips. Lastly, let's touch on aging potential, the potential to Garda. What makes one red wine capable of aging for decades, while another is best drunk young?
It really comes down to the wine's inherent structure and concentration. 4 key components contribute to aging potential: acidity, tannins, alcohol, and fruit concentration, or dry extract.
How do they work?
Acidity acts as a preservative, keeping the wine fresh over time. Tannins also act as preservatives and provide the structural backbone that evolves and softens with age. Alcohol contributes to preservation in body, and sufficient concentration of fruit flavor and other compounds, dry extract, is needed to ensure the wine has enough stuffing to develop complexity as it ages rather than just fading away.
So, as a wine ages, what actually happens in the bottle?
It's a slow transformation. Those primary fruit aromas gradually fade and integrate. Complex tertiary aromas, leather, earth, tobacco, spice, emerge and develop. The tannins polymerize, becoming softer, smoother, more velvety. The color changes, moving from ruby towards garnet and eventually brick. Ideally, all the components integrate into a seamless, complex whole.
And if you want to cellar some wines yourself, what are the golden rules for storage?
Storage conditions are absolutely critical if you want your wines to age gracefully. The most important thing is a constant cool temperature, ideally around 12, 15 degrees C, 5, 6 degrees Bear. Avoid big temperature swings. That's the real killer.
Okay, what else?
Darkness. Light, especially UV light, can damage wine. Humidity should be relatively high, around 70–75%, to keep natural corks from drying out, which lets in too much air. Avoid vibrations, which can disturb the sediment and potentially accelerate aging. And for bottles with natural corks, store them horizontally so the wine keeps the cork moist and maintains a good seal. Screw caps or synthetic corks can be stored upright. It doesn't matter as much.
That covers the journey brilliantly. But looking ahead, the world of wine isn't static. What are some of the big challenges and exciting innovations shaping the future of red wines?
Yeah, the wine world is definitely facing some significant shifts. Tradition is strong, but adaptation is becoming essential. The biggest challenge, undoubtedly, is climate change.
We hear so much about that. How is it specifically impacting red wine?
It's hitting from multiple angles. We're seeing consistently earlier harvests in many regions. Grapes are ripening faster, often leading to higher sugar levels, meaning potentially higher alcohol wines, and sometimes lower natural acidity, which affects balance and freshness.
And extreme weather.
Exactly. More frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, wildfires, which bring the risk of smoke taint, impacting grape flavor, devastating hailstorms, unexpected spring frosts. It's making farming much more unpredictable and risky.
So how are growers and winemakers adapting? It sounds daunting.
They're incredibly resourceful.
Hmm.
In the vineyard, people are experimenting with different grape varieties or clones that are more resistant to heat or drought. They're changing canopy management techniques, maybe leaving more leaves for shade. Precision irrigation is becoming crucial to manage water use efficiently. Some are even planting vineyards at higher altitudes or exploring entirely new, cooler regions.
And in the winery.
Innovations there too, using specific yeast strains that produce less alcohol from the same amount of sugar. Techniques like reverse osmosis or spinning cone to gently reduce alcohol levels in the finished wine. Careful acidification, where regulations allow, to adjust balance. Advanced sorting technology to remove damaged or smoke-affected berries. It's a constant process of adaptation.
Alongside climate, sustainability seems like a huge focus now.
Absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Consumers are increasingly demanding wines made with respect for the environment and social responsibility. This is driving a big shift towards sustainable practices.
Like organic.
Organic farming, no synthetic pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizers, is becoming much more common. Biodynamics, which treats the vineyard as a self-sustaining ecosystem following cosmic rhythms, is also growing, especially at the high end. And now there's a lot of talk about regenerative viticulture.
What's that focus on?
It goes beyond just doing no harm. Regenerative farming aims to actively improve soil health, increase biodiversity, sequester carbon back into the soil, and build a more resilient ecosystem. It's about leaving the land better than you found it. Sustainability also covers water and energy efficiency in the winery, waste reduction, lighter packaging, ethical labor practices, often verified by certifications.
What about how people are drinking red wine? Are tastes changing?
There are definitely some interesting trends. While classic bold reds are still hugely popular, we're seeing a growing interest in lighter-bodied, fresher red wines with lower alcohol levels. Wines you can maybe chill slightly that are more versatile with food.
Like what kind of wines?
Like Gamay, some Pinot Noirs, Cabernet Franc from cooler areas, Austrian Zweigelt, and that sort of thing. There's also a real thirst for diversity. People are actively seeking out wines from lesser-known regions or made from indigenous grape varieties. They want authenticity, a story, a connection to place.
And the natural wine movement.
That's part of it, too. The interest in natural, low-intervention wines made with minimal additives, often using indigenous yeasts, minimal or no sulfur dioxide, reflects a desire for transparency and wines that express their origins purely. It's still a niche, but influential.
Is technology playing a big role in shaping the future, too?
Hugely, in both vineyard and winery. Precision viticulture uses sensors, drones, satellite imagery to monitor vine health, water stress, ripeness block by block, allowing for much more targeted interventions.
And inside the winery?
Smart technology allows for incredibly precise control over fermentation temperature, automated cap management. AI and big data analysis are helping optimize everything from harvest timing to blending decisions. Optical sorters can analyze and sort grapes berry by berry at incredible speed. But it's not just high-tech. There's also innovation in using traditional materials like concrete eggs or amphorae in new ways, exploring different extraction techniques. It's a mix of tradition and cutting-edge science.
It really sounds like the winemaker, the ethnologist, has to be part scientist, part artist, part farmer, part environmentalist now.
Their role is more complex and critical than ever. They have to navigate tradition and innovation, respond to climate challenges, embrace sustainability, understand market trends, and ultimately strive for excellence in expressing the potential of their grapes and their land. It's a demanding but incredibly rewarding pursuit.
As we wrap up this deep dive, it's just so clear. The Majesty of Red Wine isn't just about the liquid in the glass. It's this profound reflection of the land, the deep history behind each bottle, and really the human passion that turns grape juice into art.
Beautifully put. From that vibrant ruby of a young Pinot to the complex garnet depths of an aged Bordeaux, every bottle really does tell a unique story.
The story of place, of the year it was grown, of the winemaker's skill.
Exactly. It highlights that incredible diversity of grapes we talked about, the intricate dance of winemaking, the endless fun of pairing with food. I hope we've encouraged you, the listener, to go beyond just tasting. Think about the journey. The vine, the soil, the weather, the harvest, the countless decisions in the cellar, the patience of aging, all the risk and dedication that goes into bringing that bottle to your table.
So our final thought for you today. May you explore with curiosity, savor with mindfulness, and truly marvel at the depth, the beauty, and the soul that each glass of red wine has to offer. Hopefully it connects you with that essence of passion and dedication in every single sip.